Somewhere in your house right now, there is a rule you stopped enforcing. Maybe it was bedtime. Maybe it was hitting when he's frustrated. Maybe it was screaming in the store. So you just started avoiding the store, and every time you let it slide, a quiet voice told you the same thing. He can't help it. He's autistic. Be gentle. That voice comes from love. I want to be clear about that before I say anything else. But love and avoidance are not the same thing. And today we're going to talk about the difference. Because the kids who get no boundaries don't grow up freer. They grow up more trapped. And by the end of this video, you're going to see exactly why. Let me tell you what nobody tells you at the diagnosis appointment. When your child is diagnosed, everyone hands you compassion. Therapists, books, other parents, they all say the same beautiful things. Meet them where they are. Understand their world. And that's real, and it matters. But somewhere in all that softness, a dangerous idea slips in, without anyone saying it out loud, that an autistic child shouldn't be held to any expectations at all. So the boundaries quietly disappear. Not because you decided they should, but because every time you tried, it got hard, and the guilt got loud, and it felt easier to just not. I'm not going to spend this video telling you you're doing it wrong. You're doing it tired. There's a difference. But I do need to show you where this road goes because it doesn't stay small. Here's the turn most parents miss. Discipline is not punishment. Say that again in your head. Discipline is not punishment. Punishment is what happens after. The yelling, the consequence, the timeout that means nothing to a kid who doesn't connect it to anything. And you're right to be suspicious of that, because harsh punishment genuinely does not work on an autistic brain. It just creates fear. But discipline, real discipline, is something completely different. Discipline is structure. It's the same routine every day so the world feels safe. It's a clear, calm expectation your child can actually understand. It's teaching a skill instead of expecting it to appear out of nowhere. When people say autistic kids need discipline, the good ones don't mean be harder. They mean be clearer. And that distinction is the whole video, because the parents who back off completely think they're choosing kindness over cruelty. They're not. They're choosing chaos over structure. And for an autistic child, chaos is the cruel one. Now let me show you what actually happens when the boundaries disappear. A 4-year-old who hits when he's overwhelmed is heartbreaking, and you forgive it instantly because he's 4 and he's overwhelmed and he can't explain it. That's the right instinct at 4. But behavior that gets no response doesn't fade. It gets rehearsed. That same hit, unaddressed, is still there at 7, except now he's bigger. At 10, he's stronger than his little sister. At 13, he's stronger than you. And the world that forgave a 4-year-old will not forgive a 13-year-old the same way. Teachers won't. Strangers won't. Eventually the police won't. Same behavior, same child, same good heart underneath. But a completely different world waiting on the other side of it. This is the part that's hard to hear. The behaviors we don't teach our kids to manage don't stay their problem. They become the world's excuse to reject them. And the world is so much harsher than you will ever be. It doesn't know your child, it doesn't love them, and it will not slow down to understand them the way you do. Here's what I need you to understand about your child's brain. Autistic kids crave structure more than almost any other child on earth. Predictability is how they feel safe. A world with no rules isn't a gift to them. It's a source of constant, low-grade panic because they never know what's coming or what's expected. So when you hold a boundary, calmly, consistently, the same way every single time, you are not being mean. You are handing your child a map of a world that otherwise makes no sense to them. You're saying, here's what happens, here's what I expect, here's what you can count on. To a neurotypical kid, a rule is a limit. To an autistic kid, a rule is often a relief. That's why the gentle but firm parents get such different results. It was never about being tough. It was about being reliable, showing up the same way over and over until reliability itself becomes the thing your child leans on. And there's a piece under all of this we have to name, because it's the real reason the boundaries slip. Guilt. A lot of parents don't back off because they think it's best for the child. They back off because saying no to a child who's already struggling feels unbearable. It feels like adding pain to a kid who has more than enough. So avoiding the boundary isn't really about the child in that moment. It's about the parent not being able to sit with the discomfort of being the bad guy. I'm not saying that to shame anyone. I'm saying it because once you see it, you can't unsee it, and it changes everything. Your job was never to protect your child from every hard feeling. Your job is to prepare them for a world that's full of hard feelings, and to be the steady person who teaches them how to move through those feelings instead of being run by them. Now, I have to draw one line very clearly, because this is where people get it wrong in the other direction. There is a difference between a tantrum and a meltdown, and if you punish a meltdown, you will hurt your child. A tantrum has a goal. It stops the second the child gets what they want, and they're watching you to see if it's working. A meltdown has no goal. It's a nervous system that has completely flooded, and in that moment, your child has lost access to reason, to language, sometimes to control of their own body. Trying to discipline that is like disciplining someone for sneezing. So discipline never happens during the storm. During the meltdown, you are the calm. You keep them safe. You lower the noise. You wait. The teaching comes later, when they're regulated, when they can actually hear you. That timing isn't a small detail. It's the entire difference between discipline that builds trust and discipline that just breaks it. Get that one thing right, and almost everything else falls into place. So what does this actually look like when you walk back into the room tonight? It looks boring, honestly. It looks like picking the 2 or 3 things that truly matter: safety, hurting others, a couple of real non-negotiables, and being completely consistent on those while letting the small stuff go. It looks like the same response every time, so your child can predict you. It looks like consequences that connect logically to the action, not punishments pulled out of thin air. It looks like teaching the skill in a calm moment, over and over, long after you're tired of teaching it. And it looks like separating the child from the behavior in your own head. The child is never the problem. The behavior is a message. Your job is to decode the message. What's too loud, too bright, too much, too confusing, and teach a better way to send it. Because here's what all of this has been building toward. Every boundary you hold today is a boundary your child won't have to learn from a stranger, a boss, or a courtroom later. Every skill you teach now, inside the safety of your love, is a skill they get to carry into a world that will not explain itself as kindly as you do. Not disciplining your autistic child feels like mercy, but real mercy is harder than that. Real mercy is loving them enough to prepare them, to be the steady, patient, unshakable person who says, "I believe you can learn this, and I'm going to help you even when it's hard for both of us." That's not the easy kind of love. It's the kind that lasts. Your child doesn't need you to be soft. They need you to be safe. And safe means structure, consistency, and the quiet confidence that they are capable of far more than the world assumes. They can rise to what you expect of them, but only if you're brave enough to expect it. If this made you look at your own home a little differently, subscribe. This channel is for the parents doing the hard, unglamorous, deeply loving work, and there's a lot more here waiting to help you do it. I'll see you in the next one.